Hello, hello, hello. Hey, hey, hey. Not sure what's happening. Let's give it a minute. The music. Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Donnie B, waiting for some of you guys to get on. You know, I have a lot to say today. Friday could not come soon enough, y'all. So first up, we made it again. It's Friday. Hopefully, you guys are COVID free. You didn't lose anybody to COVID this week. And if you did, I'm praying for you guys. I was going to say, happy Friday. Let me do my job and like and share so Nate doesn't get mad at me, and then we're going to get right into it. Hold on. 1 second. It's been an interesting week. We got a lot of exciting news. So you already know I'm going to talk about all things Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But before we even get into that, which will take up probably the whole time, knowing y'all and knowing me, let's talk about what we've been doing in the pandemic. So as usual, every week, for those who don't know, listen to the show, I always start out by letting you guys know what I'm watching on TV. And so this week's, I'm ready for you, Charles Martin. Give me a minute. I know Glenn's chomping at the bit. I can't wait for him to call in so I can blow him up. It's going to be an explosion, my brother. An explosion, you heard? So no, I'm watching Waves on Showtime. So that's my show of the week. And Waves is about an African-American family in the suburbs, in particular, the African-American male teenage child. And he basically is what I consider to be the quintessential African-American male child that we all want our teenagers to be at first. He's an athlete. He makes good grades. He's not in trouble, with the law. Seems to be an all-around good kid headed to college. And then, arguably, as a result of the pressure and the tough upbringing from his father, his life spirals out of control and goes completely in the opposite direction. I think it's a good pastime movie. My only criticism is that I felt like it ended in the middle. Yeah, Glenn, I'm up to something. So Waves on Showtime. If you get some time this weekend, check it out. It's like an hour and a half. Hi, Jordan. And I liked it. I just felt in the middle, it ended abruptly. It was a show that left me wanting more. So Waves on Showtime. I've been watching. Now I'm on Greenleaf. It's season 5. The finale was a few days ago. And now I'm starting season 5. So I don't know what's happening. I'm just starting. I started season 5, episode 1 last night. So I'm going to do Greenleaf, and we'll talk about that next week. So let's talk about some stuff, interesting things that have happened this week. Hi, Casey. So aside from Joe Biden finally announcing his VP choice, let's talk about some other things that happened this week. Nick Cannon sues Viacom to try to own the rights to the show Wild 'N Out. is it just me? But I'm like, dude, you missed the opportunity for that. You should have did that when everything was good and you didn't put your foot in your mouth with the stuff that you did last month. So you say what you said last month, get fired, talk trash about Viacom, and now you want the rights to Wildin' Out. I'm like, oh, good, congratulations, Glenn. You got a raise during the COVID. That's always a plus. My issue with Nick Cannon is you and your lawyers. It's not like you're me, right? Or you're a regular person that doesn't have a team of lawyers and you're not rich that could help you negotiate a better deal. You've been on Wild 'N Out since you were a very young adult. You've been rich for a while. Mariah Carey had a team of lawyers you could have used. Everybody in the industry had a team of lawyers you could have used to try to negotiate ownership or some sort of significant ownership of the show before today. So how we end up with you now wanting to sue to own the show, to me it's ridiculous, dude. Let that ship sail. Focus on the future. Try to get your money in other ways. That's just me. Stephanie Mills. So first of all, when was the last time anybody heard of Stephanie Mills? I haven't heard of Stephanie Mills since she did the remake to When I Think of Home for The Wiz. She's literally been off the grid like Sade. We never hear from her. Well, I'm gonna play a clip where Stephanie Mills goes in on Nick Cannon and Kanye West and says they are acting like paid slaves. So I was just shocked to even see Stephanie Mills in the building. I'm like, yo, you still alive? I didn't know. I ain't even trying to throw shade. I'm just like, yo, where you been, sister? I haven't seen you at all. I didn't even know you had a social media page. What's up? Can we get some new music? I love your voice. Do you have kids? Are you married? What are you doing? What does your day-to-day look like, Stephanie Mills? You just came out of nowhere and went in on Kanye and Nick Cannon. And not that I don't agree, or disagree. They are a problem right now in Black culture. But I was just shocked to hear Stephanie Mills saying anything. So here we go. Let's see. Tell me what you guys think.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. And I hope everyone is doing well as can be expected.
We might be having some technical issues.
So I'd like to say a couple of things about Kanye West and Nick Cannon. First, I know that Kanye is suffering mentally. I know that he's swinging high and low, and I really pray and hope that he gets help. But I must say that I'm disappointed because if he's trying to help our community by running for president, it's not helping our community. He's not qualified to be president. Neither is the person that's in the White House at this time. But Kanye is a distraction. And we're living in some really, really trying times where we don't need distractions. What we need is for Kanye to get help, to get on medication, to see a therapist, and to get help.
Facts.
Nick Cannon, now I don't understand, because I saw you at Pop's when he gave his speech and his talk in Chicago not long ago. And then for you to come out and do what you did, like supporting Kanye, what is that? What is that? I don't understand it. Kanye's being paid to do what he's doing. Now, are we to believe that you're also being paid to be a distraction? You guys are acting like little boys in a sandbox with toys. But being that you're acting like that, as a mother, I would like to say, take your toys, go home and sit down and get help, get therapy. Nick, you should know better because you've learned and listened to the teachings. So you should know better. You should know better. because I just saw you. So I just think that people are losing their homes. People can't pay their rent. People cannot buy food for their children or their family.
Facts.
We have no time for you two to be out here acting like little paid slaves.
There it is, y'all. Cut it, Nate. She said it. She put it all the way out there. Take your toys and go home. We don't have time for the foolishness. And for the most part, I agree with her. Anybody, it's no different than there's actually an African-American female that's running for president as an independent. And I'm like, you know what, sister? I got issues with Kamala Harris. We all know that. But stop. Like, I never understood those people that get like 3 votes that really think like they're running for president. I'm like, what is going on? Like, we don't have time for that. So I'm like, Kanye have several seats. Nick have several seats. The independent black chick, I don't even know her name, have several seats. Right. I feel like Stephanie Mills was like, as a mother, go sit down somewhere. The only thing I didn't like is her saying they acting like paid slaves, because I was like, you know, slaves never got paid, so I didn't really understand that analogy. But other than that, she kept it 100. I thought that was interesting this week. I got no problems with it. It was nice to see her back out in the fray. What else happened this week? Gabe Davis, our boy, made a comeback, didn't he? Head of the Citizens Complaint Authority for the city of Cincinnati. So for those who don't know, CCA is where you go if you want to file a complaint as a member of the community for police misconduct. And they have independent rights as a result of the collaborative agreement that was actually codified into law to investigate Cincinnati police wrongdoings and make recommendations to the police chief and to the mayor and city manager about what actions should be done as a result of their findings. They are appointed, I believe, by the city manager or the mayor himself, and they have a whole board that they report to. So it'll be interesting. I think this could be a good look for Gabe. He has a background in civil rights investigations that he was doing when he was a federal assistant attorney general. So I think this is a nice fit for him. I was wondering what his next move was going to be once he lost the primary when he ran for Hamilton County prosecutor, and I think this is a good space. So I was happy to see him in that role, and I look forward to seeing what he's gonna do. I think my only issue with CCA in general is the people that appoint you. I really wish that the determination of who becomes the director of CCA was truly independent from the police and the mayor and the city manager 100% completely, and was appointed through some sort of outside process, because I feel like it can pose a conflict when what happens if the mayor or the city manager hired you and then you make a recommendation as director and they don't want to follow your recommendations. You kind of have to go against, your boss. And I've seen that in my past dealings with CCA, where I was pushing them to do something and they were like, well, I take my orders from the city manager. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to take your orders from the community, and you're supposed to be a neutral, independent organization. And so if the people that hire you and cut your paycheck are the same people that you're per se investigating, then is this organization really going to be able to be effective? But that's not a Gabe Davis created problem. That's just, I don't like the way CCA is structured. I think we need to find a way where the funding for it and the leaders are appointed separately from the city. But that's just me. So that happened this week. Something else interesting that happened this week. Your boy Akon. So did y'all hear what Akon said? That basically African Americans need to get over slavery. And, he's from Senegal, and he basically is like, we don't think about slavery anymore, and y'all need to do the same and just come back home. So rather than me try to, paraphrase or misquote this brother, I'm gonna play his clip too. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments.
Yeah. How do Senegalese really feel about slavery and what happened? Because, you know, there were a lot of very foul people involved in the
Right.
slave trade. There was, of course, Europeans, you know,
Right.
Jews and whites were involved, but,
Right.
you know, Africans were involved in it
Right.
as well. They were
Absolutely.
selling off their enemies,
Right.
you know, the enemy tribes and making their money and so forth. Like,
Right.
how was slavery really looked at out there?
Well, in Senegal, we've kind of overcome the thought of slavery. We don't even think about it. The only time we think about it, honestly, is when we're doing tours at Goat Island. You know, outside of that, people have lived and moved and way beyond the slavery concept and idea and mind state.
Right,
Yeah.
because in Senegal, you actually know your history. You
Right.
can trace your family back 100
100%,
generations,
yep.
whatever else. You still have your names,
Right.
your real names. You're
Right.
not named Johnson
Right.
or
And Jackson.
Jackson and Washington
Luther.
and all the other slave owners that were
Right.
the presidents who had slaves during that time,
Right, right.
Jefferson,
You know.
and so forth. Yeah, but you guys actually have your history. And that was the whole thing of walking around Senegal. People just felt, this was the first time I felt Black people just felt comfortable
Right.
and with no type of disease. You
Right.
know, I mean,
I think it's also the art of just letting the past go
Yeah.
and moving towards the future. And I think in the U.S., they have this stigma of just not letting go of the past and blaming the past on every mishap or, you know, disappointment. And I think as long as you hold on to that past, it's just a lot of weight that you carry with you everywhere you go. And it's hard to move forward and move fast when you got to, you know, weight on your back.
Right.
You
Let's
just
stop
gotta let it
right
go.
there.
there's also been no reparations. And there's been, you know,
Exactly.
Yeah, but unfortunately, man, like, it's not like America is going to take the initiative to do it. I mean, otherwise they would have did it already.
Yeah.
You know, Indians got reparations, the Jewish got reparations for Holocaust, and it wasn't even done in America.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So
Italians got reparations.
Italians got
the
reparations. I mean,
Japanese.
Japanese got reparations.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's to the point now where African Americans have to really understand their worth and realize that America was never or intended to ever, you know, consult or even make up for any of that. They're not sorry. They don't care.
All right, let's stop there. So my issue is people. So I don't really think that it's necessarily slavery. People are holding on to it. Well, let's assume they are. I don't think that's wrong. There's never been a atonement. And so it's like I don't even hear anybody saying, you know, that the European Jews that are fighting over Israel with the Palestinians and the Gaza Strip should let it go. But when it comes to African Americans, we gotta let go of slavery and not still demand reparations when every other minority that's been a victim of European atrocities is getting reparations but us. And are we holding on to the past? Or are we also arguing about the current? Like, we still face discrimination to this day. I'm a discrimination attorney. I have a job for a reason. But the battle against racism and oppression for African Americans is not over. So, are you missing the point, Akon? I don't really think that people are stuck at 400 years ago. It's 400 years or 400 years of slavery through the present. So, and we have evolved. I mean, your line of thinking to say, well, you know what, don't fight for reparations, just give it up because Europeans are never going to give it to us. Well, I listened to my grandparents and great-grandparents say that we would never have a Black president, but we ended up having one. There were slaves that thought we would never be free, but we ended up being free. There are Black CEOs that were told they would never be Black CEOs, but they're Black CEOs. We're literally arguing and debating about Kamala Harris, who, if she wins, will be the first Black VP, Black female VP, over white women that tried to be in this space. So I don't agree with him. I don't agree that we should use it as a crutch. I fight discrimination and continue to move forward. Hold on, let me see. But that doesn't mean that I forget what's going on and don't continue to try to advocate for things to be better for African Americans. So I think there's a difference. I'm not sitting at home with no job, doing nothing, shiftless, arguing about, you know, the negative effects and residual effects of slavery. I graduated from high school, college, and law school, having my own law practice, and I'm an advocate in the community despite slavery, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't advocate for things to be better for my people and that we shouldn't receive, you know, reparations. Yeah, I agree. I think he's a smart dumb cat. I see something. So let's talk about this Kanye thing. So Sharonda feels like that they were making fun of that Stephanie Mills was making fun of Kanye and his mental illness, and she's asking for receipts to show that Kanye's getting paid to run for president. Then people are saying, yeah, prove that Kanye is being paid, show receipts, and we say, oh, mental issues in the black community is detrimental to our society. I have seen others make fun of Kanye. I'm not sure if I agree that that's what Stephanie Mills was doing in her particular video footage. I do agree with you, Sharonda. I don't know what she meant by Kanye's getting paid to run for president. I feel like he's got mental health issues. He needs to get help, and he needs to stop. So Sharonda said we all got issues, and Glenn's like, no, we all aren't bipolar. Facts, we're not. I feel like Kanye's having an episode. And I don't understand where the family and friends are to try to help him push through that episode. Maybe they're trying to push through, and legally there's not much, they can do. I don't know what's going on there. But he's going through something that to me is beyond we all have issues and we're all not perfect. I think there's a clear mental health problem that needs to be addressed. Moving on to other issues happening this week. Did you see Louisiana Supreme Court upholds a black man's life sentence for stealing some hedge clippers? I was like, whoa. And to me, this segment is a good segue into the Kamala Harris issue that I'm going to talk about today. Because I feel like we got real issues like this in America that aren't being addressed. So this is why I'm not just at, Trump light. When you as a black man can get life in prison for stealing some hedge clippers, but we got white college students that rape women and get probation in less than 6 months time served. Yeah. I'm not of the anybody but Trump plight. I'm at we got to do more than that. Anybody but Trump gets us back to baseline with cases like this that don't get addressed. So I need both. I need anybody but Trump and beyond Trump is the question I have. Once Trump is out, what are we going to do? Are we back at baseline? Because people act like they have amnesia. People, to hear everybody tell it. Before Trump came along, life was great for African Americans. We had zero problems. And if we could just get back there, life would be great. And I'm like, yeah, look at this. Black man gets a life sentence for stealing hedge clippers in Louisiana. More than 20 years ago. He's still in jail, y'all. Make that make sense. My issue is, before Trump came along, why are we acting like that African Americans were doing so great? So I'm not willing to just go back to the things that were happening before Trump came along, because it was still garbage for us. There were still real problems for us. 873-7134. The issue for me is it's time for African Americans to be on the come up, to be at the forefront of the political agenda, and for people to make lives better for us. Period. So to me, anybody but Trump is one-dimensional thinking. I'm about improving the lives of African Americans in a meaningful, full way. And if we go back to pre-Trump, then to me that's not much of a change for us. It's a slight step in the right direction, but it's not nearly enough for me, and I make no apologies for that. And no, actually, Glenn, it doesn't have to be a state and local prosecutor issue. That's actually legally incorrect. You can file a writ of habeas corpus in federal court before a federal judge for constitutional rights for cruel and unusual punishment. It's actually a federal constitutional issue that this brother is in jail for life over stealing some hedge clippers. So you got to go through the state court process first. But now that that's been exhausted, best believe his lawyers are going to flip it and move over into federal court and argue about his federal constitutional rights under a federal writ of habeas corpus to try to get that dude out and he can get a pardon. So let's be clear. It's not just a federal issue or state issue when you are convicted for stuff like this. And it's the Eighth Amendment is real. Cruel and unusual punishment is real, and that's a federal constitutional right in addition to a state constitutional right. So let's talk. Let's talk about what was I going to say? The whole Joe Biden VP pick and some of the issues that I've been seeing. My reaction to Kamala Harris. So first, let's talk about the people that are focused on her race, her ethnicity, and her skin color, because I have various thoughts on that. And I feel like people are now questioning her blackness because we put her blackness at issue. When you make a demand on Joe Biden that your VP choice, the number one qualification, actually the only qualification, is that it must be a black female, then when you do that, you have to expect that people are going to argue and debate about whether or not she's really black. And I was never a fan of making that demand on Joe Biden. To me, the narrative on Joe Biden should have been, we want you to pick a vice president that is going to take steps and support agendas and plans that will improve the lives of African Americans in a meaningful way. That should have been the ask of Joe Biden. But this anybody black movement that some of you created, I don't feel upset because now Kamala's race and ethnicity is under attack. We should have never went down that path with Joe Biden. The path should have been the black agenda path, like Ice Cube and like Diddy was saying. It shouldn't have been a mandate that the person be a black female only. So if you want to be mad at us for focusing on race. I'm amazed at the hypocrisy. We're the ones that focused on the VP must be a black woman. And now we're mad because people are on Twitter and social media arguing about her blackness. For me, I don't even care. I care about what you're going to do. So that's my first point. So now white people are walking around here like she ain't black, and that's becoming the focus of the discussion, as opposed to the real issue, which is, what is she going to do? I'm a black woman, Glenn, and my focus was never on, Joe Biden's VP pick has to be a black woman, because I knew enough about Joe Biden and his history and how moderate and conservative he really is to know that he would never pick the type of black woman that I think would advance the ball for us in a meaningful way anyway. So I care more about the issues. To me, this is a sideshow that is irrelevant to the movement, which is, what are you doing in the areas of concern that can improve the lives of African Americans in a meaningful way? Her skin tone, her ethnicity, and all this other sideshow BS is irrelevant. Period. Point blank. So I feel like for those that are focused on how black the VP needs to be, well, you got what you asked for. Now that's a nationwide debate. And the real issue on the back burner, as usual, because in America, we'd rather talk about anything other than improving the quality of life for African Americans in a meaningful way. Yeah, I say. We always say, talking about the stuff that doesn't matter, that does not move the ball forward, like the BLM Hero downtown in Cincinnati on Plum Street. Is it just me? So let's talk about Michelle Obama. So Michelle Obama is 50. And her tweet rubbed me the wrong way. Because she said that now brown girls everywhere can look at Kamala Harris as someone who looks like me and think that they can be VP. Problem? Here it is. So she first, in the beginning, I'm with her. You get used to as an African American woman in the U.S., she's a little girl, opening the newspaper, turning on the TV, and hardly ever seeing anyone who looks like you. You train yourself to not get your hopes up. And sometimes it's a battle just to keep telling yourself that you might deserve more. I agree with her. I'm brown skin. And when I was growing up, let me see, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? So when I was growing up as a brown-skinned African-American girl, when I turned on the TV, when I looked in magazines, when I looked in shows, there was not enough representation of this type of black girl. There was either white women being represented only, or there were light-skinned women who didn't look like me. And there were biracial women and racially ambiguous women. Those are the people, if any of us at all, were getting in those spaces that we're getting in. So for Michelle Obama to then say that Kamala Harris, I can look at her and know as a young brown girl that she looks like me, are you delusional? Because me and Kamala Harris look nothing alike. I'm not biracial. I'm not light-skinned with long hair and light eyes. Never have been. And so if you want to say, when I focus on the African-American women that get into high places, that are doing the things that will improve my life and doing the things that I aspire to do, or the same things that I'm doing, and I say, I can make it, Donnie B, keep going. But I'm sorry, I don't look in the mirror and see Kamala Harris. We look nothing alike. Black women are not a monolith. We come in all shades of color. So it's not about her looking black, Renee, because Kamala does look black, but she doesn't look like me. And I refuse to subscribe to the notion that when I look in a mirror, that I see myself as light-skinned. I don't, Michelle. And there are brown girls out there that are not going to be able to identify with Kamala Harris, even though she is black. Because for so long, the narrative have been that there's only one type of black woman that can make it, and it's the lighter-skinned black woman, not the brown-skinned or the darker-skinned black women. So please, let's not diminish the fact that colorism in the African-American community is real. And it's important that we see a spectrum of brown and black girls make it to high places, not just light-skinned black and brown girls. And that's why when Michelle Obama became first lady, a lot of black women were like, for the first time, or one a few times in their lives, they could actually look in the mirror and say, you know what, Michelle Obama looks like me, because she actually did. Period. I'm not of mixed race, and I don't look of mixed race. So when I grew up seeing light-skinned models only, and seeing basketball players date light-skinned chicks only, racially ambiguous looking chicks only, it sent a message to me, not only that white folks didn't approve of my skin tone and of my dark-skinned sister's skin tone, but that black men didn't approve of me either. So I'm like, if you want to say, hey, Kamala Harris is black and that we're making progress in the area of black women, no problem. But to say that brown girls are going to see her on TV and say she looks like them, you sound like Biden when he said that we're a monolith. Since when do black women only come in one color? I'll wait. We don't. So let's talk about when I come up and when I'm doing what I do. Who inspires me as far as somebody looking like me? Ayanna Presley looks like me. Keisha Lance Bottom looks like me. Marilyn Mosby looks like me. Val Jennings looks like me. Stacey Abrams looks like me. Let's put them up there, Nate. Let's show a picture. Black women come in all shades. So if I had a daughter and she was looking on TV to see a brown woman that looks like her, Kamala Harris is not who I'm going to put her. I'll put her to Kamala Harris as an African-American female that has the ability to get elected and be in high places. But I'm not going to show her a picture of Kamala Harris and say, boo, that's you. It's not. I'm like, stop the BS. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. Right. Val Demings looks like me. I don't look like Kamala Harris. And there are brown-skinned and dark-skinned girls that look nothing like her. So let's do the color spectrum. Look at Elizabeth Warren. There's Kamala. There's Susan Rice. Then there's Keisha Lance Bottoms. There's Condoleezza Rice. So you're telling me That if I'm Condoleezza Rice's shade, I'm supposed to look at Kamala Harris and identify that she's me? Stop. So that bothered me. I make no apologies. I feel like black women come in all shades, and we cannot ignore the history in this country that light-skinned women get treated differently, and in some cases better than brown-skinned and dark-skinned women. And I'm tired of us ignoring that. Period. So let's talk about the hypocrisy. Colorism is real. Let's also talk about what I've been seeing on social media. Hold on one second, we might be getting a call. Is it Just Me Podcast? Hello? Is it Just Me Podcast? Uh-oh, I think somebody's on the line.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you better. Who's calling? Is this Clint?
This is Glenn.
All right, my brother. What's up? Bring it. What you got to say?
You know what? I found out something new. You know, you say you learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
I found out something new because, Donnie, from my perspective as a father who has a 21-year-old daughter, I never knew that there were people out you that look at light skin and dark skin the way that you do. Because when you show the pictures of a Keisha Lance Bottoms, a Susan Rice, a Val Demings, who I like, a Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, as a black father of a daughter, I look at those women and I say, oh, I'm going to look at all of them the exact same way as accomplished black women and someone to be admired and respected.
But that's because you're not a dark-skinned or a brown-skinned female. So no disrespect to you, Glenn, but it's not about how you feel. You're not a black woman. And you have no idea. No, let me finish. Exactly. It's not petty. No, but it's not petty, first of all. And that's the problem, is that you downplay the black woman's self-esteem. No different than it would be petty. No, let me finish. No, because you have no idea. Let me finish. You have no idea what it's like to grow up as a brown skin or dark skin girl and be told that your black is not beautiful. So that's, yeah, but brown skin men, my dude, have not had the history of discrimination amongst black women that black men have. So let me finish my point, because this is the problem. I can't tell you how to feel as a black man, and I'm tired of black men trying to tell me how to feel and other women how to feel as black women. You have no idea what it's like to be a brown-skinned adolescent female. That's not your plight. I am a black woman.
What makes you any different?
I am a black woman. What are you talking about? I'm not telling her how to feel. I'm telling her, don't put that on everybody else. I am a brown-skinned woman, and I'm telling Michelle that I don't look in the mirror and see myself as Kamala. Period. That's the question. Ask Michelle why that is. I think you're like, well, why is that the topic of conversation? I think that's a question you need to ask Michelle Obama, because that wasn't my tweet. That was hers. And no, it's you. Yeah.
Like Michelle Obama is wrong for her saying that, and the way I understood what you put up on the plane, her saying that, hey, now we're brown skin girls, we're white skin girls like Kamala Harris. Now people, Michelle Obama and you, when you saw Michelle Obama up on that stage. This wasn't about Michelle Obama telling all black women, oh no, we don't look like you.
But no, that's what she said. Dude, I feel like she needs to stick to the issues. As an African American woman, we have an African American woman that's running for VP. The whole what she looks like piece. Just kill that, because all black women are not a monolith.
But you brought it up.
No, I didn't bring it up. That's not my tweet. No, I actually have a whole bunch of stuff on my agenda that goes deeper and well beyond this. That's just point number one. So let's move forward. Call me back after I talk to you about the rest. We got all that. No, call back. You're gonna call back. You're gonna want to call back when I talk about the rest of the stuff. So go get an apple and get ready, my brother, because I'm about to break. So, yeah, we shouldn't talk about it. Talk that nonsense to Michelle. So let's move on to issue number two. People are out here like, because she's black, we shouldn't criticize her or bring up her past transgressions. It's a form of self-hate. And I'm like, yo, really? So since when? So now that let's be clear. Y'all trashed this woman when she ran for president in her own right, not when she ran for VP. Y'all realize Kamala Harris ran for president, and people brought up her issues and her track record, and it caused her to lose the presidential bid. Now that she's the number two person behind a white male, now we can't criticize her. We can't bring up her track record. It's a sign of haterism. Well, let's keep that same energy. And let's talk about other black public figures that the African American community has no problem criticizing. Let's start with Jada Pinkett Smith. Did y'all not spend all last month dragging her, and is she not a black female? Let's talk about Candace Owens. Is she not black? And do we not drag her all day for the things that she says that we believe is detrimental to the needs and plight of the African American community? Let's talk about Gayle King. Did she not get dragged earlier this year because she criticized and actually brought up Kobe Bryant's rape case? So my thing is, so since when did we become the African American community that says that if you're African American, that we can't speak up about the things that you do that we feel is unacceptable? Did we not drag Snoop when he cussed out Gayle King on Instagram? Are we not of the Mute R. Kelly movement? And are we not dragging R. Kelly, Bill Cosby? Did we not drag Ben Carson for everything that he does that's dumb as he stands on the side of Trump? So I'm just trying to understand where we really are as a people. Is it that we're not supposed to criticize other African Americans? Or are we only supposed to criticize the African Americans that y'all deem worthy of criticism? I'm going to speak my truth, and I'm team keep the same energy. I am an African American female. And I will criticize anybody that's African American if they are doing something that I feel like is detrimental and harmful to the plight of African Americans. And it doesn't matter if you're a black female, a black male. If you have the ability to impact our lives or influence our lives in a positive or negative way, and I feel like you're tripping, I'm going to speak. Don't try to mute my voice. And don't get mad at me for saying something and call me a hater. When half of y'all call me a hater, don't do half as much to improve the lives of African Americans as I do. And I'm not even trying to toot my own horn. I'm just getting tired of the criticism as if like, yo, I can stand up for y'all and sacrifice for y'all and go hard for y'all. But then when people do stuff that's against y'all, I'm not allowed to speak. I'm not doing that. I'm not giving my light. I'm not turning my platform into a platform where you guys choose what I do and don't say at all. Period. The bottom line is I am a civil rights attorney and a civil rights activist when nobody is looking. And I know the true history of Kamala Harris and the things that she has done is detrimental to the work I do every day. And for me, it's not that she's not black because of her ethnicity. I don't find her to be black, if that's what you want to call it, based on the things that she has done in her role as an African American district attorney and as the African American attorney general in California that were detrimental to the same African American causes that y'all fake woke people claim to support. So, for example, y'all are all on the African American male attorney general in Kentucky for the way he's investigating the Breonna Taylor situation. And y'all all on social media talking about justice for Breonna Taylor. Is if you don't realize that when Kamala Harris was in his same position, she refused to investigate police shootings of African Americans at all. Let me bring up the issue. Because I get tired of the fake woke folks who take no effort to research facts and do anything. Oh, and Charles, you're right. Candace Owens deserves dragging, but she's not the only one. Kamala Harris deserves to be dragged too for the stuff that she's done. Just like when she does a good job, she deserves to be recognized for that as well. But I'm talking to the crew that basically is like, we shouldn't say anything about Kamala Harris at all because she's a black woman. And if that's the standard, then I don't understand how we're speaking up on Jada Pinkett Smith, Gayle King, or Candace Owens, because are they not black women too? Period. The hypocrisy is real. So let's talk about how we can walk around here like, justice for Breonna Taylor, and talk about what Daniel Cameron needs to do. But let's go back to the Ezra Ford shooting. Let's go back to the Mario Woods shooting and how the Frisco Five starved themselves for 5 days trying to get Kamala Harris to investigate his unlawful shooting, and the DOJ had to step in when she would not. Period. So my issue is, let's not say that we can't criticize. And let's not come up with a fake narrative and call her a progressive prosecutor or an AG and try to make her out to be some sort of civil rights advocate. And for me, this newfound thing that she said, where she's like, yo, I've always been for the people, Kamala for the people. Girl, stop. Let's be clear. If I vote for the Biden-Harris ticket, it's not going to be because Kamala Harris was always for the people. It's going to be because I recognize, like other people do, that Trump is a problem. The DOJ is the Department of Justice, Glenn. Get on my level. So, what was I going to say? It's not going to be because Kamala was anything special. Just like it's not going to be because Biden is anything special. And my issue with them, which I think may end up costing them the election, is rather than just evolve. And we all evolve, right? I've heard people on the feed say, you know what, Donnie, you don't want to give her a chance, or, people change. You're right, people do. And when you atone and you admit, like, you know what, back in the day when I was a DA and when I was Attorney General, I did some things that I'm not proud of, and I recognize the error of my ways, and I am trying to take a different path going forward. I can respect that and appreciate that. Same with Joe Biden. The problem I have with both of them is, with respect to Joe Biden, he's not doing like other African Americans are that have said, you know what? The Congressional Black Caucus actually supported the 1994 crime bill. And they now recognize that it had unintended consequences and that it resulted in the mass incarceration of African Americans. And that was a misstep on our end. My bad. Let's try to come up with something else to fix past wrongs. Biden has doubled down and actually said that he doesn't even feel that the 1994 crime bill is a problem 16 years later, when we can all see that it was detrimental to Black folks. Kamala, likewise, is not saying, yeah, well, there were some things that I didn't do well when I was DA or AG. She came on TV 2 days ago and said that she is proud of the work that she did as a DA and AG, and she's always been for the people, and asked us to call her Kamala for the people, and that's her campaign slogan, and that's pissing people off because it's not factual. And I don't think it's helpful. If you really want Trump gone, I think you have to acknowledge your shortcomings and tell us to move past them and give you a chance to atone. But there are people that are still suffering at the hands of what she's done today. That was only 5 years ago, y'all. Maurice Caldwell is still debating in court over the stuff that Kamala's office has done. So let's be clear. People give off. But the issue I have for her and Biden is, does a zebra change their stripes? Because I was always raised that a zebra doesn't change their stripes. That, who you are is who you are. But I'm looking at Kamala, who, by the way, now is AKA Kamala, and now she's the best godmother in the world, and the best aunt in the world, and the best stepmom in the world. And so vote for her because of those things. I'm like, girl, you stay for the political dangerousness. Just focus on the issue. I'm really not concerned with how much you did at your mission and how good of a stepmom or godmom you are. I'm concerned about what we're going to do in the areas that affect the lives and the plight of African Americans when we become VP. What are you going to do about healthcare, my student loan, housing, gerrymandering, so many other issues that affect African Americans? That's where I'm at. Dude. This mama over here, again, another side sheet. What are we going to talk about the issues that matter? What are you going to do that's going to be better than Trump? That's what I want to hear. This other stuff, how black you are, who your mama is, whether or not your dad is really Jamaican, none of that matters. The fact that you visit your nieces and your godkids does not matter to me. We are losing focus. The issue is, what Kamala are we going to get when we become VP? Are we going to get the Kamala that you purport to be today? Or are we going to get the Kamala that you were when you were DA, when you were AG, and even the Kamala from earlier this year and in the fall of last year that couldn't give us a clear-cut answer on where you were with reparations, and basically came out and said that you're not going to pass a law that only benefits African Americans. Can we play her reparations clip? And before we play it, here's something that irritates me too. I watched African Americans across the country destroy Biden and destroy Bernie Sanders because y'all felt that their answers on reparations were not sufficient, and reparations was supposed to be what was important to the African American community in 2019 and in 2020. And now y'all same African Americans that claim you couldn't vote for Bernie because his stance on reparations was unclear, and you were lukewarm on Biden for the same thing. Well, let's look at this black woman that y'all AKAs love to toot as the great black hope. And let's talk about what she said about reparations. And hold on, before we play the clip, not what Donnie B said, because y'all love to shoot the messenger. But these aren't my words. These are the words of your potential first black female vice president. And this contributes to my concern and to the concern of some other African Americans that aren't sure what we're going to get if she becomes VP. And this is one of the reasons why she's having difficulty securing our support. And this is some of the reasons why she didn't win the presidential nomination from her own party. Let's be clear. This is her words, not mine. Let's hit it.
Reparations for black people.
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Right. So problem? This sounds like the Operation Trickle Down that never quite trickled. And it's the same thing with race. And this is the problem that I have with her, because she's a fellow lawyer like me. I practiced law under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And she is absolutely wrong. Same thing with equal pay. It is not, you need to have laws that are specifically targeted at African Americans, because when you have laws that are supposed to be for the benefit of all, they never quite trickle down to actually benefit the African Americans that they were supposed to benefit. Do you know who the biggest recipients of justice are under the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that was introduced by Kennedy and passed by Lyndon B. Johnson? It's not African Americans. It's white women in the Me Too movement. I've been practicing on that law for over 20 years. I'm speaking facts with specific cases. White women benefit from the Civil Rights Act that defines discrimination in suspect class as black and all and white and Asian and all the other minorities and gender and religion. Same thing with disabled people. They get more benefits under the discrimination laws than we do. Same thing with reparations. Boo, you are delusional. So we had specific mechanisms that gave reparations to the Jews. It wasn't give reparations to all minorities that have suffered at the hands of white folks and black people get a piece of the pie. We didn't get anything. We didn't get anything when it was reparations for the Native Americans, reparations for the Japanese. So we got a black woman who y'all rally around that's saying that she thinks that the best way for us to get justice is to just to focus on, hold on one second, is to focus on the issues in general. And there's going to be some sort of trickle down effect to African Americans. And I challenge her, what do you think the Equal Pay Act is? Do y'all not realize that black women get paid the lowest and have the biggest pay disparities in the workforce? But the Equal Pay Act does not even apply to African Americans. It only deals with gender. So there are black men that also get not paid the same as white men. Y'all have no recourse. She is a hot mess. Like the stuff that comes out of her mouth as a fellow lawyer, I'm like, dude, what planet do you live on? Because we see it every day. Technically, the laws against police brutality apply to everybody. But we see white men get beat up by police and they get justice immediately. We get beat up on videotape under those same laws. We don't get justice. So what exactly does she mean when she goes, no, if we pass uniform laws that focus on the behavior, it's going to trickle down to us? On what planet? Because I'm 45 years old and I haven't seen that yet. I've been practicing law, civil rights law, discrimination law for 20 years, and I've yet to see that. Is it just me? Same thing with the Black Lives Matter movement. That's being taken over by the LGBTQ. The bottom line is people will do anything in society to deal with everything other than the discrimination that African Americans face. White folks get specific laws that are catered to them. White women get specific laws and programs that are catered to them, but we don't. So I'm like, no, it's time for black people to start getting some receipts. And reparations is something that can be a specific receipt, a specific program designed to address the specific and unique oppression that African Americans face in this country. And if you call yourself a black woman, I don't care about how light-skinned or dark-skinned you are, but you don't understand that it's time for the United States government to come up with a program that specifically benefits African Americans, I got a problem with that. And I'm supposed to go to the polls and vote for her and believe that what she's doing is going to be better than Trump? I wonder, is it just me? So I'll wait for the comments. What president has ever done anything specifically for black people? Barack Obama. Are you serious? So when Ferguson happened, Barack Obama specifically sent the first black U.S. Attorney General, Eric Holder, to Ferguson to investigate the discrimination against African Americans in their criminal justice system and got people fired and arrested and convicted and changed their whole system around. So that's one president, Geneva, that I can name. And that's a problem. So if there hadn't been a president so far, when do you decide or think that it's time? So should we never look for a presidential candidate or a vice presidential candidate that's going to focus on the needs that are specific to African Americans? Should we continue to follow the status quo and get overlooked? Is that what you're saying? Is it just me? So I'm asking. I need my reparations. I'll take money, stock, land, student loan forgiveness. Exactly, Jordan. I want them too. And I'm like, we criticize Bernie Sanders and Biden, but I'm looking at a black woman who I'm not sure if she's down for reparations. That her answer to me was ridiculous. It should have been a simple yes. Yes, I'm down for reparations. Bernie said he's actually even willing to support the research committee in Congress that another black congressional female proposed to study what reparations should look like for us. And he's Jewish, but our black female vice president that y'all want to rally around is not clear about reparations. Okay. Got it. And y'all can't understand why people are lukewarm on her or are actually opposed to her. And then how she blows with the wind. So I hope y'all understand that there's a big wave right now where people are against the death penalty and prosecutors not even pushing the death penalty because we've acknowledged that there's racial disparities in the criminal justice system. And a lot of African Americans are wrongfully convicted and put on death row. So it's dangerous to support the death penalty because it has a detrimental effect on African Americans who may be innocent. So let's talk about Kamala's role in the death penalty and how she flip-flops like the wind, which is another reason why the issue becomes, can we trust her? Can we trust that whatever position she's saying she's on now is the position that she's going to stay on? Because people trusted her when it came to her position on the death penalty, and she said she wasn't for it. And she has a handful of cases where when she was DA, she refused to seek the death penalty against those defendants. But then she's also the same person that when the judge in California ruled the death penalty in California was unconstitutional, guess who went and challenged the decision and filed an appeal to overturn it, to help keep the death penalty? That was her. So my issue is, I don't trust her. She's saying now, because Black Lives Matter seems to be the wave, oh, I'm for police reform. But did y'all read her book where she was like, I'm smart on crime? And she said, if we take a show of hands, those who would like to see more police officers on the street, mine would shoot up. And that virtually all law-abiding citizens feel safer when they see officers walking a beat. Really? Do you think Rodney King felt safer when he got beat up by 18 police? Did Sam DuBose feel safer when he got shot, when he was stopped by a police officer who was beyond his jurisdiction because he didn't have no front plate? Did the guy who accidentally got shot yesterday in Colerain Township feel safer when he got shot accidentally off the body camera by a cop just yesterday? I don't. I feel like the police have a problem in this country. And I don't think they make Black people feel safe. They don't protect and serve us the way they protect and serve other people. Even when we call the police, it takes them forever to show up in the hood. Our investigations go unsolved and not even fully investigated. So I'm like, no, I don't trust police at all. I think most African Americans don't. And for me, the fact that as a Black woman, she would come out and say that she feels safer with more boots on the ground. I'm like, no, we're not the same, boo. I don't see myself in you at all. I get anxiety. Timothy Thomas, right. What do we riot for? So, Cincinnati, we didn't feel safer at the hands of the police in 2000 when they were killing us left and right. And even still today. But you got the first female Black president saying that, oh, more boots on the ground, we all feel safe. Get out of here. So are we erasing and negating the history of police brutality and discrimination in this country? Who is she? I'm confused about who she is. It seems to change based on which way the wind blows. and I'm not on it? Is it just me? So then the issue becomes, all right, Donnie, what is the point of all of this? And your Facebook rant that you've been on from Monday through today, what is the goal or the message? To me, the goal of the message is that if you really want Trump gone, then he's got to atone for the past wrongs. And she's got to tell the African American community what she's going to do to make our lives better going forward if we choose her. And that's what I'm waiting to see. Anything else is a problem. What she's saying right now is actually detrimental to y'all's movement. All she's doing, in my opinion, is not helping Joe Biden as of yesterday. She's just making us far more polarized to the left and to the right. So I think she's going to energize the racist, Republican right to come out in droves to support Donald Trump because they don't like her as a black woman. But more importantly, I'm like, screw them. We were always going to have that problem no matter what black woman or black politician we put in the space. But more importantly, what is she going to do in the Democratic Party and to the left? So let's look at some of the things that the Bernie Brazen Bros have been saying since she's been named as the VP choice, because she's walking around falsely calling herself, thank you, Ali. She's walking around falsely calling herself progressive. And so now, instead of us trying to stomach her or give her a chance, now people are enraged about the lies that she's telling. And I feel like it's unnecessary. Over the last 6 months or so, she's been trying or gives the appearance that she's trying to do better. Just focus on that. Anissa says her 19-year-old son says you're telling the truth. Exactly. She can't secure the young vote. So let's look at some of the Bernie Brazen Bros comments. They don't see themselves in her. They don't agree with her. Quote, "We are in the midst of the largest protest movement in American history, the subject of which is excessive policing, and the Democratic Party chose a top cop and the author of the Joe Biden crime bill to save us from Trump. The content for the base is wow." Well, there you have it. At Joe Biden gives the middle finger to progressives, Black Lives Matter protesters, and black voters under the age of 50. Another quote, "Crime bill author Joe Biden selects top cop Kamala Harris for VP as racial justice and police abolitionist protests continue across the country." Apparently, the answer to a movement for Black lives is someone who helped perpetuate and lock them up regime while letting the powerful in Silicon Valley and Wall Street streeters like Steve Mnuchin loot with impunity. Happy 2020. So I feel like the message that I want to send to you guys is, if we're really serious that Trump is a problem, and the goal is to get Biden and Kamala Harris elected, then you guys need to not focus on me. You need to focus on her and tell them to change the message and shift the narrative. We don't want to talk about how black you are. We don't want to talk about your shoddy track record from back in the day and rewrite history and lie and say that you didn't do the things that you did that were detrimental to the African Americans. What we need you to do is focus on a clear path forward for African Americans and what you're going to do to make our lives better if we vote for you. That's it. Don't polarize us and separate us and force me as a civil rights activist to have to come out and point out and highlight your transgressions and your wrongdoings because you are lying to the people about what you were. Own your BS and make a commitment to do better. That's what you should do. Period. And then I want the people to stop placing so much focus on this anybody but Trump movement, because you don't realize that 90% of the things that you hate in this Trump era are actually not controlled by Trump. They're controlled by Congress, and they're controlled by the Republican governors, prosecutors, judges, and other people on a local and state level that really affect your daily lives. So while you guys are on anybody but Trump, and being fake woke, can we talk about the fact that we have over 100 bills that can help African Americans and improve our lives that are sitting in the Senate doing nothing because Mitch McConnell refuses to put them on the floor for a vote? So while you guys are like anybody but Trump, as if that's all we need to do and that's your main focus, you're one-dimensional. We have a real battle in Kentucky between Mitch McConnell and your girl McGrath. And that's the real problem. The reason why COVID-19 is horrific is not just because Trump gave our PPE to China in February. It's also because Mitch McConnell and the rest of the Republicans in the Senate refused to give us a real stimulus package to help us, especially the African American community and small business owners that are Black like myself, who were hit hardest by COVID-19. We can't get a real stimulus package for him. So I sit in my Facebook feed with people that purport to be woke, as you guys have not donated to this woman's campaign to help her beat the Ditch Mitch problem, as you ignore every other congressional race that's going on right now in the country that can help give us back the Senate, do you not realize that even if we vote for Biden and Harris, if that's all we do and the Senate remains the same, we're back where we were with Barack Obama, where we don't give them the tools and the resources to do the things that need to be done. So don't hate on me because I'm woke. Y'all sleep. It's not anybody but Trump. That's not the end all be all. Not only does Trump have to go, we need a new Senate. We need a new prosecutor. Joe Dieters has to go. How many of you have voted in the primary for Fanon? How many of you have donated to his campaign and are going to do anything to help Fanon Rucker become the new prosecutor? I listened to y'all talk about how you didn't like how Rashad Davis was treated. And Rashad Davis is, for those who are out of town, is an African-American male in Cincinnati, Ohio that was on social media, not doing what he needed to do as far as COVID-19. And they end up arresting him and charging him with a felony. His bail was set over $300,000 and he sat in jail for over 60 days. And that was done by Joe Dieters. But all I see is anybody but Trump, like Joe Dieters don't need to go either. Y'all watched the Ray Tenzing trial just like I did. Y'all saw what I did. Trump didn't cause those problems. Trump didn't try to say the Ray Tenzing case. Judge Megan Shanahan and Leslie Giz did. Do you realize there are 13 judicial seats up in Hamilton County for re-election in November? And all I hear from y'all is anybody but Trump and trashing me because I talk about Kamala Harris as if that's the only thing going on. No, I'm woke. Y'all sleep. Because even though I criticize Kamala Harris, I donate to campaigns to help get the people elected that do the things that are necessary. I give my time to the campaigns. I phone bank. I canvass the streets. I hold forums and do things to educate you guys on the issues. Let's be clear. My son's going to be straight in Cincinnati Public Schools. So do you think that I hold host Laura Mitchell on my podcast for me? I do that for y'all. So what bothers me is we can agree to disagree all day on issues. But when people say that I'm not woke or try to act like I'm not an advocate for y'all and I don't make sacrifices to make y'all's lives better, and y'all praise people that actively do the opposite, it irritates my soul. So what I want y'all to do is not put all your eggs in one basket and recognize that there are other races that are equally as important as the Biden-Harris ticket. And not just say, oh, I'm for the anybody but Trump movement and not do anything else to help improve the lives of African Americans, because that alone won't cut it. And here's my question for you. If Biden and Harris don't make it for whatever reason, and Trump ends up having 4 more years, what is your backup plan? Because I don't know about y'all, but I never put all my eggs in one basket. I always think of worst case scenarios on both sides and try to do things necessary to make sure that I'm good regardless. So let's be clear. Governor DeWine runs the state of Ohio, not Trump. Joe Dieters runs the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office, not Trump. Hamilton County Common Pleas judges decide who gets convicted and how jury trials are run and the diversity of the jury pools and how cases like the Ray Tenzing trial go, not Trump. City council members decide how much money police officers get, not Trump. The mayor of Cincinnati appoints the city manager who chooses the police chief, not Trump. So while you're like, well, the only thing on my plate is anybody but Trump, you're one-dimensional, and I'm playing chess, not checkers. So I want y'all to get on my level. And instead of arguing with me on Facebook, a lot of y'all have never even donated money to Biden or Harris's campaign. You haven't filled out a single survey they asked you to fill out to figure out what it is that we need to make our lives better. You're not going to call anybody on the phone to help encourage anybody to vote for Kamala or Biden. The extent of your fake advocacy is arguing with me in the comment section of the articles that I post. That's not advocacy. So if you really don't want 4 more years of Trump and you really want African American lives to be improved, how about you do something? How about you educate yourself on not just the Biden-Trump campaign, but on the Mitch McConnell race? You realize the squad, 3 out of 4 of those ladies in Congress that are black are up for re-election, and we need them. I don't see anything on your feed about their elections and what they've done in Congress and about how we should re-elect them to help Kamala and Biden if they get into office, or to combat a lot of the things that Trump does if he gets 4 more years. But y'all want to be on me. So my thing is, let's do better. Let's not play checkers. Let's actually play chess. Let's not argue with me on Facebook. Let's actually pull out our wallets and help the people that are going to do the things that we want done actually get them done. Let's give them our time if you don't have money. Let's phone bank. Let's canvass the streets. Let's get a yard sign. Let's pay attention. And let's do that. I'm not sure about what we're going to get with Kamala as VP. I'm not sure of what we're going to get with Joe Biden. But what I am willing to do over the next 2 months is listen to what they have to say about whatever the commitment is they're going to make. That's what I want. And if over the next 60 days, they can show me that they do have an agenda and a specific concrete plan to improve the lives of African Americans, then regardless of their past, they will get my vote. But I tell you what won't get my vote, and what won't get the vote of other progressives and Bernie Bays and bros, is lying about your past transgressions and simply saying anybody but Trump without being willing to give me concrete, specific plan of a path forward for my people. Because I'm in the trenches and I was here before Trump, and life was not looking good for African Americans before Donald Trump. Newsflash. So all getting rid of Trump does is take us back to baseline. And back to baseline was not good for African Americans. And I can tell you, as somebody that's been practicing law for 20 years, that I struggled with judges in federal court before Trump made any of his appointments. We got judges that were appointed by Barack Obama himself that are problems to the plight of African Americans as we speak. We got local judges in state court that are problems regardless of Trump. So we need more than back to baseline. We don't need Trump light. We actually need a specific African American agenda and a specific plan to improve the lives of African Americans. And that's the way to get my vote and to get Trump agree The bottom line is, you can agree with me all you want to, but you need my vote. And it's not wrong for me to actually want Biden and Harris to earn it. So I put out there this week the BS that Kamala and Biden have done, and I put out there for the past year my issues with them. From this day forward, I want to look forward, and I want to talk about what they're going to do now that they've got the nomination to earn my vote in November, period. That's the issue on the table, and that should be our focus. Whether or not she's an AKA and went to Howard is irrelevant. Her role as a DA and an attorney general and trying to lie and say that it was better than it was is stupid. We're looking for receipts. The nationwide protest in April and May of 2020 should have taught her and Joe Biden something. We are tired of the status quo and the okie doke that African Americans in this country have been getting. And we want something more than what we've been getting. And to me, the anybody but Trump argument is more of the same. I want anybody but Trump and beyond Trump. I want better for African American communities, period. Somebody says the black female commissioner from Forest Park won with barely any money. How did she do it? I don't know. But, my issue is when Yvette Simpson ran for mayor, we had an opportunity to do some stuff. And we didn't rally behind her as a black female the way we should have. And so we got 4 more years of Mayor Cranley. As I watch y'all talk about, we got to rally behind, Kamala. Well, where the heck were y'all to rally behind Yvette Simpson? Can we talk about it for a second? While we talking about, supporting black women that are on the move. She was down for the cause. And she was going to give us change in a meaningful way. And what did y'all do? And while y'all want to talk about, Kamala Harris is an AKA and she went to Howard, well, are we not going to recognize that Yvette Simpson is a member of Delta Sigma Theta and that she grew up in Lincoln Heights? Y'all still didn't vote for her. So my issue is y'all fake. Keep that same energy. Being an AKA and graduating from an HBCU is a bonus, and only a bonus if you do the things necessary to improve the lives of black folks in a meaningful way. But if you don't, then what does that get us? I'll wait. Is it just me? Because I didn't go to an HBCU, and I'm not a member of an African American female sorority, and I bust my butt in the civil rights space for African Americans every day and have been doing so for 20 years. So does that mean my contribution to the black community is not valuable? Does that mean when I spent 4 years being the president of the Black Lawyers Association and doing everything that I do in the community, it's not valuable? Stop. Y'all be losing focus. And if I run for judge tomorrow, don't focus on what school I went to. Focus on what I'm telling you I'm going to do as an African American judge to facilitate justice for African Americans within the criminal justice and civil law space. That's the focus. My law school means nothing. The neighborhood I live in, irrelevant. My actions and my commitment to the cause is the focus. And if you're not talking about that, you're not talking about anything. And with that, that's my show. Like it or love it. Is It Just Me podcast. Donnie B, black female lawyer who's not about the BS. I'm about changing the lives of African Americans in a meaningful way. And if you're about that, I'm about that. And that should be the focus going forward from today. So going forward, today's the last day I'm willing to talk about her record, her race, her ethnicity, Joe Biden, a crime bill. I'm looking forward to what I feel the black agenda needs to be. And if they get on board with those things, they'll get my vote. If they don't, then they won't. Like it or love it, that's what it is. That's my show. Have a good weekend. If you're offended, it is what it is, but I'm black for real. And not because of my skin tone, but because of the things that I actually do to try to improve the lives of African Americans. Thanks. That's my show for today. I got nothing else. Glenn, are you voting right?